All right. So, tons of people ask this question all the time.
Yeah.
macOS versus Windows 11.
Right.
Like, which one is better? And especially if you're thinking about buying a new computer,
Yeah, absolutely.
it can feel like a really big decision.
Huge.
So
Yeah.
we've got a bunch of articles here to help us unpack this.
Yeah.
From Make Use of Geeky Stuff, trusted reviews, even a thought piece on Medium, just to get like a variety of perspectives.
Yeah, that's great.
We're going to hit all the key battlegrounds.
Yeah.
User interface, the ecosystem, security, software support, how much you can customize it, gaming. Multitasking, price.
All the good stuff.
All the things. So let's jump right in.
All right.
So first of all, like...
First impressions.
Yeah. What's it like to use...
The user interface.
The user interface.
Windows 11, they redesigned it recently.
Yeah, they did.
To look more like a Mac with that centered start menu and taskbar.
I was reading, though, that it's like more than just like a visual thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like Windows 11 is really leaning into touch screens. And like customization. Like you could even tinker with the registry to make it look exactly how you want.
Oh, wow. Yeah, for those power users out there.
Yeah, that's a little beyond my expertise.
Yeah, but that's a good point you bring up, though, because that highlights a really key difference.
Okay.
macOS is really known for its elegance and simplicity.
Yeah.
They want that smooth, consistent experience across all their devices.
So I guess if you're someone who really likes to tweak and personalize their computer,
absolutely,
Windows 11 might be a better fit.
It could be, yeah. Or like if you're even thinking about using your computer as a tablet sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Windows 11 is definitely the way to go for that.
Okay, so we've talked about like what it's like to use them.
Right.
But then there's the question of like how well do they play with your other devices?
Yes, ecosystem integration.
Like, is it better to be good at everything or really good at one thing?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, macOS is legendary for how well it works within the Apple universe.
I can imagine.
Features like Sidecar, where you can use your iPad as a second monitor for your Mac.
Oh, wow.
Or AirDrop, you can just beam files instantly between your Apple devices.
That sounds really convenient.
It is.
But what about Windows 11? Like, is it just a loner?
Windows 11 actually is trying to get better at playing with both Android and iPhones.
Interesting.
They have this app called Phone Link.
Uh-huh.
And it's actually pretty good.
Really?
You can see your notifications, send messages, even make calls from your Windows PC.
So it doesn't matter if you have an Android or an iPhone.
Exactly. It's pretty impressive.
Okay, so it's not quite like Apple level magic.
Right. But they're catching up.
They're working on it.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So that's like the ecosystem, but then there's the question of security, keeping your data safe. Because
this is where things get.
Yeah. Windows has always had kind of a mixed reputation.
Historically not the best.
I remember back in the day, like constant virus scans and feeling like my computer was like a sitting duck.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But to be fair,
yeah,
Windows 11 has really stepped up their game.
They have.
With things like TPM 2.0 and Secure Boot.
Yeah.
Which sound very technical.
They are, but basically they make it much harder for malware to get on your computer.
Okay, so explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so imagine TPM 2.0, like a little vault on your computer's motherboard. And it stores all your like encryption keys and other sensitive data so hackers can't get to it.
Okay.
And Secure Boot, well, that's like a bouncer at the door.
Okay.
Making sure that only trusted software can run when you start up your computer.
So it's like checking IDs before anyone can get in.
Exactly. A good analogy.
I like it.
And on top of that, Windows 11 has features like Windows Help.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Which uses facial recognition or your fingerprint to log you in.
Oh, that's neat.
And BitLocker, which encrypts your whole hard drive.
So it sounds like they're really taking security seriously.
Oh, yeah. Windows 11 is pretty secure.
But I know Mac users, they always talk about how safe their systems are too.
Right, and they have good reason to.
Okay.
macOS is known for being super robust. Part of that is just how much control Apple has over both the hardware and the software.
So they can really lock things down.
It's like a gated community, They can be very picky about who gets in.
Gotcha.
macOS has system integrity protection, which prevents even admin users from messing with critical system files.
Wow.
And then there's app sandboxing, which basically isolates apps so they can't mess up your whole system.
So it sounds like they've thought of everything.
They really have.
I guess if you're someone who's really worried about security.
Yeah.
And maybe not that tech savvy.
Right.
macOS might feel like a safer bet.
Could be, but...
Okay, before we make any final decisions, we have to talk about software support.
Right, because what's the point of an OS if you can't run the programs you need?
Exactly. And that's where things get interesting again.
Okay.
Historically, Windows has been like the king of compatibility.
Makes sense.
You can find software for Windows to do practically anything.
Yeah.
And it runs on a ton of different hardware.
I mean, it has been the most popular desktop OS for a long time, so...
True.
Yeah.
But macOS, they have a thriving software ecosystem too.
Okay.
Especially for creative professionals and everyday tasks. But there are some areas where Windows still dominates.
Like what?
Like gaming.
Oh, right.
Gaming on Windows is just a whole other level.
Yeah.
You have access to powerful hardware support for platforms like Steam, features like DirectX 12 and Direct Storage that are specifically made to make games run smoothly.
It sounds like they've really optimized it.
They have.
For gaming.
Yeah.
So if you're a serious gamer...
Windows is probably the way to go.
It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
macOS has been trying to get better at attracting game developers, but they're still playing catch-up.
Okay, so we've talked about security software.
Yeah.
But what about, like, making your computer feel like yours?
Customization.
Yeah.
That's where Windows 11 really shines.
Okay.
You can change pretty much everything.
Oh, well.
The themes, the colors, the layouts. They even have this feature called Snap Layouts.
Yeah. I've heard of those.
That lets you easily arrange your windows for maximum productivity.
So it's like a digital Lego set. You can build your ideal workspace.
That's a great way to put it.
And then for the people who like to really tinker, there are third-party tools like Rainmeter that let you add widgets and stuff.
Oh, yeah. You can totally transform your desktop.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's really fun.
So it's not just about functionality. It's about making it look cool, too.
Absolutely.
What about macOS?
So macOS is more about like a consistent curated experience. They want all Macs to have a certain look and feel.
Right.
But you can still customize some things.
Right, like what?
You can customize the dock switch to dark mode, rearrange things to your liking.
So it's less about building your own dream desktop and more about fine-tuning like a pre-designed setup.
Exactly.
Okay, I see.
Which brings us to another big one.
Hit me.
Multitasking.
Oh, yeah.
How do each of these operating systems handle the chaos of having a million windows open?
Because let's be real, we all have a million windows open.
We do these days. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So both Windows 11 and macOS have some tricks up their sleeves.
Okay, lay it on me.
So Windows 11 has these snap layouts we talked about. You can predefine how you want your windows arranged on the screen.
Okay.
So you can snap everything into place.
So if you're like always juggling spreadsheets and emails and research documents,
all the things,
these snap layouts could be super helpful.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Nice.
And they also have virtual desktops.
What's that?
So you can create separate workspaces for different tasks.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like having multiple monitors without the extra screens.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty handy.
What about macOS? How do they deal with multitasking madness?
macOS is all about visuals.
Okay.
They have this feature called Mission Control, which gives you like a bird's eye view of all your open windows and desktops. Okay. You can switch between them, move windows around, create new desktops really easily.
So it's less about predefined layouts and more about having like a dynamic overview of everything.
Exactly. And they also have some really intuitive gesture controls for multitasking.
Oh, cool.
You can swipe between desktops with 3 fingers.
Wow.
Use 4 fingers to see all your open apps, even pinch to show the desktop.
That's pretty slick.
It is.
So it sounds like both operating systems have their own strengths when it comes to multitasking.
They do, for sure.
Okay.
And that brings us to our final and often most important consideration.
The dreaded price.
Because we all have budgets to think about.
We do.
So on the surface, Windows 11 might seem like the more affordable option.
Okay.
You can technically upgrade from a previous version for free or buy a standalone license for a pretty reasonable price.
But you're not usually buying just the OS, are you?
Right. You're usually buying a new computer that has Windows 11 pre-installed. And that's where the price can really vary.
Okay.
You can find Windows laptops for a few $100s, or you can spend thousands on a high-end gaming rig.
So the price of the OS is almost irrelevant.
Pretty much.
Compared to the cost of the hardware.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Mac OS?
Well,
we all know that Apple products, they have a certain reputation.
Yeah, let's just say they're not known for being budget-friendly.
Right.
But there's a reason for that.
Okay, why?
Apple products are really well built. They last a long time, and they hold their value really well. So you might spend more up front, but you can probably use that Mac for many years.
Yeah.
And you can probably resell it for a decent price.
So it's not just about the sticker price. It's about the total cost of ownership over time.
Precisely. And that's something to keep in mind as we continue our deep dive.
I like it. All right, so we've laid the groundwork, user interface, ecosystem, security software, even price. But
there's more to uncover.
There are some juicy details hidden in these articles.
Oh, yeah.
So let's dig a little deeper.
Let's do it.
One thing that really stood out to me was how Windows 11 handles multitasking.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about those snap layouts, but make use of highlighted this tool called Power Toys.
Oh, yeah, Power Toys.
Which takes it to a whole new level.
It's really cool.
So for someone like me who's always juggling a million windows, what can Power Toys do?
So it gives you way more control over those snap layouts.
Okay.
You can create custom ones beyond the basic ones. Manage windows with keyboard shortcuts, even have a preview pane for any file you select.
Oh, that's handy.
It's like Windows 11 on steroids for people who want to get super organized.
Okay. I'm putting Power Toys on my to-do list.
It's a good one.
What about macOS? Any hidden multitasking gems on that side?
Well, they might not have Power Toys.
Yeah.
But macOS really shines with its gesture controls.
Oh, yeah.
That Geeky Stuff article raved about how smooth and intuitive they are.
Yeah.
Especially for multitasking, 3 fingers to swipe between desktops, 4 fingers to reveal all your apps. Pinch to show the desktop. It's all about minimizing clicks and keeping things flowing.
It's like a dance.
It is.
Effortless movement between tasks.
Yeah.
It seems like both operating systems have their own philosophies about how to tame multitasking.
Definitely.
Speaking of philosophies, another thing that came up was clipboard history.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about how Windows 11 remembers the last 25 things you've copied.
Right.
Which seemed way more useful than macOS, just remembering the most recent one. But is it just text, or can you copy other things?
So this is where it gets cool.
Okay.
Windows 11's clipboard history can store images too.
Oh, wow.
So you can copy a bunch of pictures and then paste them one after another without having to go back and forth.
That's a huge time saver.
It is, especially for like visual projects or presentations.
Right.
Those little details can make a big difference.
Speaking of details, we got to talk more about gaming.
Yeah.
That Trusted Reviews article really emphasized Windows 11's dominance.
It's true.
In that area.
Yeah, and it's not just about raw power.
Okay.
Although Windows machines definitely have that.
They do.
It's the whole ecosystem, the huge library of games on Steam, all the gaming-centric features in Windows 11, like DirectX 12, Auto HDR, Direct Storage.
They really thought of everything.
They did. It's an environment where games can really thrive.
What about macOS? Is there any hope for gamers on that side?
So macOS has made some progress with its game porting toolkit, which makes it easier for developers to bring their games over from Windows. But it's still a work in progress.
So
for serious gamers, Windows is still the clear winner.
Okay, so Windows wins the gaming crown.
For now.
But let's shift gears to where macOS really excels.
Yeah.
That tight ecosystem integration.
Oh, yeah.
That Geeky Stuff article highlighted some seriously impressive features.
Like using your iPad as a second display with Sidecar.
I heard so many good things about that.
It's incredible.
So how does it work?
You just bring your iPad near your Mac, and boom, it just becomes an extension of your workspace.
No cables, no fuss.
It's pure Apple magic.
It sounds like the ultimate setup for productivity or creativity.
It really is.
And what about AirDrop?
AirDrop.
I'm constantly hearing about how easy it is to share files between Apple devices.
AirDrop is a perfect example of Apple's works philosophy.
I like it.
You select a file, choose the nearby device, and it's sent wirelessly.
So simple.
No more emailing documents to yourself or messing around with cloud storage.
It sounds like a dream.
It's very smooth.
So while Windows is trying to embrace both Android and iOS,
right,
macOS is doubling down on its own walled garden.
Exactly, creating that seamless experience within their own ecosystem.
And for users who are all in on Apple, that's got to be appealing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's about having that unified experience across all your devices. Speaking of unified experiences, let's talk about how each OS handles that bridge between your computer and your phone.
Right.
Because these days, we're all living in a multi-device world.
Absolutely.
Has Windows 11 really stepped up its game with that phone link app?
You know, it's surprisingly good.
Really?
Even for iPhone users that make use of Article pointed out that you can see your notifications, send and receive messages, even make calls from your Windows 11 PC.
That's pretty impressive.
It is.
And it doesn't matter if you have an Android or an iPhone.
Nope. They're trying to create a good experience for everyone.
So even though they're playing catch up,
yeah,
they're still working on it.
They're getting there.
I'm guessing Android integration is even slicker, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How so?
Well, if you have a supported Samsung Galaxy phone, you can actually access your phone's Android apps right on your Windows 11 desktop.
Oh, wow.
Imagine pinning your favorite mobile games or social media apps right to your taskbar.
That's next level.
It's like having a little Android emulator built into your OS.
So while macOS excels in its own closed ecosystem, Windows 11 is taking a more open approach, trying to be the hub for all your devices.
Exactly. Two different philosophies of integration.
But let's not forget about keeping that digital world safe.
Right, security.
Our sources had some good insights about security and privacy.
Definitely.
Because what good is all this cool tech if our data isn't protected?
Exactly.
It seems like both macOS and Windows 11 have really upped their security game.
Oh, yeah, they both come a long way.
But they approach it in different ways.
They do. Windows 11 is like a fortress with all these layers of defense.
Like what?
You've got hardware-level defenses like TPM 2.0 and Secure Boot.
Right.
And then software-level protections like Windows Hello and BitLocker.
So they've got guards at every entrance checking IDs and scanning for threats.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
And then you have macOS, which takes a more holistic approach.
What do you mean?
They really leverage that tight integration between their hardware and software to create a very secure environment.
So less about individual layers of defense and more about building security into the foundation of the OS.
Exactly.
I see.
macOS has that T2 security chip, which handles secure boot and encrypted storage.
Okay.
Plus features like Gatekeeper, which checks every app before you install it. And XProtect, their built-in anti-malware tech.
So it sounds like both operating systems take security very seriously.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But in their own distinct ways.
For sure.
Is one inherently better than the other?
It's tough to say. You know, Windows 11 benefits from Microsoft's constant security updates. And macOS benefits from Apple's tight control over its ecosystem and its focus on user privacy.
Yeah.
It really depends on your own security needs and how comfortable you are with each approach.
Okay, so we've covered security ecosystems, multitasking, even mobile integration. But before we move on, I want to go back to that Medium article.
Oh, yeah, that was an interesting one.
It had a really unique perspective, especially coming from a self-proclaimed Mac enthusiast.
Right. They were really impressed by what Windows 11 is doing with AI.
AI is such a buzzword these days.
It is.
What specifically stood out to them about Windows 11?
They highlighted Microsoft Copilot.
Copilot?
It's like this AI companion that's built right into the OS.
Of like a really smart assistant.
Imagine having this incredibly intelligent assistant that can help you with everything.
With everything.
From writing emails to organizing files to brainstorming ideas.
It's like a digital sidekick.
It really is.
That can anticipate your needs and make your workflow smoother.
Exactly.
I could use one of those.
Right. And the article talked about how seamlessly Copilot works with all your favorite apps.
Oh, that's cool.
You can switch between tasks, and Copilot is always there to help.
What about macOS? Siri's been around for a while, but I can't imagine it doing all that.
Siri is great for basic tasks.
Yeah.
But it's not on the same level as Copilot in terms of integration and what it can do.
Okay, so that's 1 point for Windows 11.
Right, and that was the point of the Medium article. While macOS is great in a lot of ways, it's lagging behind Windows 11 when it comes to AI.
Okay, so Copilot is one AI feather in Windows 11's cap.
For sure.
What's that all about?
So Recall is basically like giving your computer a photographic memory. It uses AI to remember everything you've done.
Wow.
The documents you've edited, the websites you've visited, the images you've seen.
Everything.
And then it lets you find that information super easily based on what you remember about it.
So instead of searching through a million folders or browser tabs, I could just ask Recall to find that document or image I vaguely remember seeing a few days ago.
Yeah, it's like having a personal digital librarian who never forgets anything.
That's impressive.
You can search based on how something looked, its colors, even where it was on the screen.
That's so cool.
It's really powerful.
I'm constantly losing track of things on my computer.
I know the struggle.
A feature like that would save me so much time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But is this all just Microsoft showing off?
Well,
what about the practical applications?
So the article talked about how these AI features can really change how you work.
How so?
Imagine you're working on a big project with tons of files, deadlines, emails.
That's familiar.
Copilot can help you stay organized, find the information you need, even suggest what to do next based on your progress.
It's like having a digital project manager.
Right there in your OS.
But what about beyond work stuff?
Yeah.
Can AI make our free time better too?
Absolutely. The article even gave examples of how you could use GPT-4, the latest large language model from OpenAI, which is integrated into Windows 11.
Interesting.
Imagine you're playing a video game, and you can just ask GPT-4 for tips or strategies using your voice. Or you're working on a design project, and you can ask GPT-4 to generate ideas or create images based on what you describe.
That's crazy.
It's like a glimpse into the future of computing.
It really is. But before we get too carried away, we need to talk about the elephant in the room.
The price tag.
We already talked about how Windows 11 can seem cheaper up front.
Right.
But the cost of the hardware can really vary.
It can.
And Macs, well, they have their premium price.
They do.
But is it really fair to just compare the sticker prices?
That's a good question.
That Medium article brought up a good point about the total cost of ownership.
They did. They said that Apple products are known for lasting a long time and holding their value.
Right.
So you might spend more at first, but you could use that Mac for years. And it'll probably be worth more when you resell it than a similar Windows PC.
So it's not just about what you pay today, it's about the long-term investment.
Exactly. A Mac could actually be more cost-effective over time.
Especially if you think about reliability and resale value.
Exactly. And that's something to keep in mind as we head into the final part of our deep dive.
We've covered a lot.
We have.
From user interface to ecosystem integration, security software, even the potential of AI. But the big question remains.
Which OS is truly better?
All right, so we've really gone deep, haven't we? We've explored all the angles, the features, the strengths, the weaknesses, the price tags.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
We even got kind of philosophical about what it means for an OS to be better.
We did.
So after all that, where do we land?
Right.
Which OS is the champion?
You know, I bet you can guess what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
As much as we love a good tech showdown, there's no clear winner here.
So it's a draw.
Not exactly a draw. Okay. More like a realization that the best OS really depends on you, the user.
Makes sense.
Your needs, your priorities, what you're going to use your computer for.
Like we've been saying all along, it's about choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
So to help our listeners make that choice, let's do a final recap highlighting the strengths of each OS.
Sounds good.
Okay, so for the person who loves to customize, who wants to tweak every little setting, make their computer truly their own.
Right.
Windows 11 is super flexible.
It is. It's like a digital playground. You can build whatever you want.
And for the hardcore gamers, Windows 11 is still the king.
No question.
You've got access to powerful hardware, tons of games, and all those gaming-focused features.
They've really nailed that gaming experience.
But then we have macOS,
right,
which is all about that tight ecosystem.
The Apple magic.
That seamless flow between Apple devices, the emphasis on security and privacy. That elegant simplicity.
That's what Mac users love.
It just works.
Everything just works together.
So if you want that effortless integration, and that curated, secure environment, macOS might be your perfect match.
It could be.
It really comes down to what you care about most.
Absolutely.
Do you like to tinker and customize, or do you want that streamlined, unified experience?
That's the big question.
It's not about which OS is objectively better, but which one fits your workflow, your priorities, your vision of how you want to use technology.
Exactly.
And remember, the tech world never stands still.
That's true.
Both macOS and Windows 11 are going to keep evolving.
Oh, yeah. They'll keep getting better and better.
So even if you're a die-hard Mac or Windows fan, it's always good to see what the other side is doing.
You never know what might surprise you.
Right. Some new feature might just win you over.
Exactly.
So, dear listeners, armed with all this knowledge from our deep dive, go forth and make your decision.
Choose wisely.
Choose the OS that speaks to you. The one that empowers you to do your best work. Pursue your passions. Explore all the possibilities of the digital world.
That's what it's all about.
And remember, no matter what you choose, the journey of discovery in the tech world.
It's an adventure.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep diving deep.
Until next time.